claims are dealing with facilities. They are not individual providers, okay? So when you are looking up a provider on an institutional claim, you will not be looking at this attending person. That is only the person that's providing services, you know, sent them to the hospital, maybe did some services with the member in the hospital. When they want you to look up a provider and it's for an institution, you are going to look up this institution, because that's what we're going to use to price and work through our claim. Okay? Makes sense? If you had a professional claim, you would be using the actual provider that is on the claim. Okay? So we're going to put in this facility information. This is my provider contract screen. If you were, and we'll come back to this because all this stuff will pop back up in here in a second. When you first open this, this is called the provider master. This is what it looks like. On the provider master, it gives you a lot of information here, the full name of the facility, the short name, the type, it's a hospital. Ooh, excuse me. Their default vendor ID is here. Vendor's address is here. Their specialty types. This is an ACH or psych hospital. They have two. Okay, so it could be used for either or.
Quando eu falei a música, né? 20 something. Is that turning it?
Can you check if my stuff is boiling, if it is turning off?
These are all of the different windows that are inside of the provider contract or the provider master. You won't use the Prov F very often. The Prov A and the Prov C, the credentialing screen, those are the three that these three right here are the ones you're going to use the most. The Prov C.
Turned off. It's not off. It's way on.
Is it cooked? Is it cooked?
The Prov A and your credentialing screen. I need to erase this, and I hate to make this bigger. Okay. These are the three screens you're going to use the most in here.
Yes.
You use F3, PROVF. I almost never use this. When I first open up my provider screen, I always use the Prov C. Because 90% of the time you need to be on the contract screen when you open it anyways. Okay? You guys know what the F5 does, right? It helps you look up stuff inside of a window, so we don't need to go over that piece. Just like with any other screen, you have a master file, your address, your contracts, your credentials. Okay? The address screen is going to become important when you guys start doing whole codes like RBPIK, because you're going to have to verify these addresses matching to the information that's on your claim. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay.
Miriam,
This-
can you go back to the most used screen?
Are we ready to move on now? In your provider address screen, and again, this will come in handy when you guys start doing the RVPIK. It'll make sense. You know, the two things will start meshing together. In the address window, of course, if they have multiple addresses up here, they would be showing, right? You would see all the different addresses for that provider. This one, this provider, this facility only has one. Provider privileges, we don't ever have to be in the screen. Only the customer service reps have to do that, and that's not what we do. The provider's credentialing screen will become important due to the fact, and I'm a hotkey person, so I apologize. So it's under topic, and then you go to credentials. Because sometimes when you guys get into pricing, you will need these Medicare or Medicaid ID numbers to price your claim in PSI. Okay. Shows you the different sections in the credentialing window. However, you guys are only going to use these two bottom sections. The rest of this stuff you won't need. Questions? We don't do anything with provider enrollments either. This is the big one. The provider's contract screen. Matching your provider to your claim is crucial, and you will need to know how to do that. My line of business is GMR. So over here on this contract for line of business, you're looking for GMR. Some people would rather just scroll through here. I don't have time for that. I'm gonna click on show contracts. They're all gonna come up. I'm going to look down this LOB chart, which is usually in order, and I'm going to find the one that's for GMR for data service 3/23/2026. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my GMR lines of businesses, and as you can see, there's quite a few here. This is the one I'm going to choose because there is no term date here. So I'm going to select this line of business because this is the one I want. I cannot use any of these because they are termed. This one termed in too far up, sorry. This one termed in 2011, this one termed in 2016, this one termed in 2018, this one termed in 2024. These are your term reasons. Not that you'll ever really need to know that, but they're there. The other piece of information I want you guys to understand about this contract, and this particular provider doesn't have it, but you will find sometimes that they will have two GMR lines of businesses active, right? You'll be like, okay, which one am I supposed to choose? Typically, when there's two of the same lines of businesses active, there will be an IPA listed over here under IPA. If your claim does not have that IPA that's listed here in this contract, you will use the one with no IPA. Make sense?
So if there's two, you use the one without.
If the IPA on your claim does not match the IPA that's on the contract, you use the one that's without.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. questions? So we'll select this GMR line of business. Gives you your effective date, your term date, your line of business, your contract is payable, your par status, if it's par or non-par, accepting new patients, which really doesn't make any difference to us. These IPA affiliates may become important later, but we'll deal with that when we need to. Again, it lists your specialty type. You have two here. And then you have your vendor. Sometimes you will pull up a provider's contract and they will have multiple vendors here. You need to match your vendor with the correct address. So if you look here, this vendor ID matches the vendor information here in the PO box. Let's see if I can pull up another let me pull up this other contract and see. This provider only has one too. It's usually with Kentucky you can find that. Line of business is KAB. And this one only has one. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, you will have sometimes where there's multiple vendors down here. Just make sure that the vendor that you're selecting matches the vendor information that's on your claim. The ID number and the address. They can have the same ID number with different addresses. Okay? So just make sure that when you go to select this information, you're selecting the right stuff. Questions? This section will go through the different pieces of the provider contract window that we were just looking at. Locating the pricing details for a contract. This is where things get hairy. So this is our GMR line of business. Pull this over here. With the provider contract window up, tap to the vendor focus box. That's this box down here. And in order to get the contract pricing details to come up, that vendor box has to be highlighted blue like that. And by clicking, you can go to top special, contract pricing details. Or you can follow the Control D steps here, or select the menus tab, Alt SD. That will get you to the contract pricing details. I'm a hotkey person, so this is the keys I would have been selected. And I'm trying not to hotkey, so
So you went to special and then details,
No, special and then contract pricing details right here.
contract pricing details, okay.
Yep. Then this box pulls up. Looks just like this one on my Excellus user's guide. In this box, you have the effective dates, the provider's ID number, name, line of business, any IPA panels when it became effective, the vendor's address information as well. Inside this box, you will have your different lines of businesses. Your different, I said line of businesses, your different claim types. So the first one, and this is where they were talking about the determinant pieces and that pricing piece that we were in. We'll go back to it in just a second. This is, claim type is for institutional, your order, your sequence, determinant tables, institutional claim headers where they will tell you this information should be, place of service. So here is your determinant tables. It tells you on the header, determinant place of service. 21, scroll down, and then there's 51. Okay? So these are the price rules that they use, right, to determine pricing for this place of service. Down here breaks it down as to what you're going to see in here, and again, it just gives you your claim types, your determinant packaging information. Your contract types are here, and they will change as you go down through this list. Right? This one's APCHD pricing, which means it's going to APC or APG price if it's an institutional claim with this price rule. And we'll get into the price rule in just a second. Typically, when you see this for an institutional and you have this DRG pricing of any type down here, if it's DRG 01, 09, 04, 05, 02, whatever it is, it's whole claim price. 99% of the time. Questions?
Is there another way to tell this whole claim price?
Looking at your claim on your
Stop.
detail lines. You know,
It'll have all the money on one, paying on one line.
Yep, with all those eye lines. Yep.
Okay, so the DRG means it's a whole claim pricing?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions about this provider piece? No? Alright, I'm gonna jump back down into lesson 14. So we went over the prophecy, the price rule detail screen. I'll show you what that is as we go through this piece of this SAT. Institutional versus professional. Again, the differences between the two is the bill type, provider specialty, place of service, and DRG for inpatient claims. One is the most common place of service or bill type that you guys will see with the institutional claims. Those are outpatient claims when they're billed with a 131. Typically, they will have these place of services down here: 22, 23, 24. Pricing for outpatient institutionals is similar to professional, not 100%, but very similar in nature on how they price. Percent of bill, unit pricing, fee schedules, flat rates, and whole claim pricing, reviewing all charges and applying one pricing based on Excel's criteria. Any questions so far? No? You guys good? You with me? Okay. Type of bill type often with inpatient is also always going to be 1-1. Okay. Almost anytime you are dealing with an inpatient claim for institutional, it's going to be 1-1. That last number can be an indicator for multiple things, but typically the 1-1 lets you know it's inpatient. And you guys will need to know this stuff later. Room and board and rev codes, see the level of care and common our room and board codes. Those will be down here a little further as we get down in here. DRGs are used to do grouping for whole claims, right? We talked about that. That's the DRGs will price on that one line. Some providers' contracts have DRGs with carve-outs. Does anybody know what a carve-out is?
Oh, I used to.
Billables.
It's what? Somebody said it. So carve-outs are additional payments that are made outside of that DRG rate. Okay, so sometimes you will have an inpatient or a whole price claim that will have one line that's in a PP status, and that's because they're paying additional money on top of those group services. Make sense? That's a carve out. You don't see them very often, but you will see them. Okay?
So you're saying that they're paid separately from the other services?
Yes.
That would be like revenue code 272 or 636.
It could be anything, just depending on how they've written up the provider's contract, Marion.
Okay.
Especially with part providers, because there's a lot of negotiations that go on within those contracts to say, okay, well, if we have these types of claims, we want additional reimbursement for ABC codes, whatever they decide to list in that contract. Here is your levels of care. Again, this is a piece that I would probably tell you to copy and put somewhere.
What page is that on?
This is page 170. this is going to become important because when I teach you guys the Vista Hold today, this level of care is going to be important as to how you will or will not pay your claim depending on the authorization that you have. If they authorize a lower level of care and they go to a higher level of care, we cannot use that authorization to pay that. Makes sense? So, pricing an inpatient institutional claim is similar to pricing a professional claim. This is not correct. Price and adjudicate all claim lines using alt SPC. The only time you should be doing that is when you don't have a cisgen line on your claim. If you do this with a cisgen line on your claim, it's going to create issues. You would need to remove it, do the alt SPC, and then do Control 8 to put the cisgen line back. Make sense? Whole claim pricing allows the system to review all services rendered and determine the appropriate reimbursement based on the whole claim pricing rules. When claim applies whole claim pricing, the detailed lines will be in an informational status unless the particular service is outside of the whole claim pricing rule. So this is where you get the carve outs. Any questions? The whole claim pricing rules are located via the PRULW. We'll get into that. I want to do that right now. So, some of the other pieces that are not taught in this lesson before I go into this whole claim price rule and all of this stuff and showing you guys how to look up pricing for procedure codes. Something else I want to show you that's not in this Excellus user's guide. If you go to the topic on your claim, and I know you guys have been in this screen, and go to pricing and adjudication details, when you have multiple lines on your claims, you're going to have multiple price rules on different lines for different stuff. Okay? It's just how it works. This is the line for us that's pricing. This is our whole claim price rule. Okay, our whole claim pricing line. If I'm going to match what this information is compared to my contract to make sure I'm using the correct provider information, you can do this by looking at the detail section of this. Right here. See where it says vendor, detail, prod C, you see all this right here on the side? Questions? Everybody with me? This is where things get a little hairy. Institutional, claim type, provider search order, and their sequence. Well, guess what you have over here? Claim type, your order, your sequence. See where I'm going with that? This contract matches what they did here with this whole claim price rule. And you see your price rule down here? It's the same as price rule 1 here. Questions?
So you just match those three?
Yes. Yep.
So were you saying that it's just easier to go to that other screen than to go to the the details contract?
No. So,
Well, but why did you show us that screen?
I'm gonna find one of these claims that has multiple contracts in it like this, and then you'll see.
Okay.
Because if you have multiple contracts here and you're looking to do anything with making sure you're pulling the correct, like the price percentages and stuff like that for your claim, you're gonna need to know which one of these order sequences you need to be in for your claim. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay, yep, I get it.
Because you will have some of these that will have, I'm telling you, tons of, it'll be 4 or 5 different institutional pieces in here, and you'll be looking at it like, I don't know how to use that. What is it for?
So
Right.
you're just matching those two things, the detail
Yes.
line on the pricing and adjudication with that one.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
With whatever's here. So, and this will happen when you guys get really into pricing. So, like the min fee, which is DME pricing, you could have different items being billed, right? And multiple lines holding for manual pricing. And their contract pieces will not be the same for every line. Does that make sense? So one line maybe will be this right here, and you're gonna pay at 106%, and the other line may be down here where you're gonna use this one, and let's just say this was 94%. You know what I mean? So you just have to watch it and make sure you're selecting the correct information that's going to match to your line that you're pricing. Okay. Questions about these screens? Anybody else?
Did you click back onto the other screen right quick?
This one? My provider?
Mm-hmm. Hold for just 1 second. I want to see something. I want to be able to cover. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Graciela, I'm gonna have you delete that.
Did I miss it? Or because
No.
of the information?
Yep. It's because of the information. Yep. We don't want Centene trying to fire
I
nobody.
forgot, yeah, I forgot.
We can put, you guys can put it over in, did she create a Centene chat for you guys?
No.
No. So, yeah. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if there's a picture in next. Yeah, some of these pictures are in the Excel issue, this guy. Let's see. That's not what I was looking for either. No, it's not in here.
Can she use it if she highlight out the HIPAA information?
Nope. Don't do that. So, I don't know if this this was told to you guys. I used to create videos for claims processing, especially ones with the harder hold codes. It's, you know, for like pricing and corrected claims and stuff like that. I used to create videos for that, and I don't know why, how come, but for whatever reason, Centene said no, we need to delete them. So all those files were deleted, and I'm talking about 20 plus videos. I don't know what the violation piece is for it. They just do not want us putting things out of Centene over here in NTT. It's just a no.
So we shouldn't have no.
I'm sorry, Graciela.